right, we're jacked to start the week. Real Kyper and Bourne, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jen Rolnick with you for the next 2 hours as we start our Leaf Edition hour live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. What a weekend.
What a weekend indeed.
Started out Friday with a goofy fight.
Yeah.
Went into a good hockey game on Saturday. Then we rolled into Sunday with the Bills beating Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But more importantly.
And your Toronto Argos underdogs.
Big underdogs.
Big underdogs.
Like 8.5 points.
Absolutely destroyed
They
Winnipeg.
dusted them.
Toronto is the city of champions once again, boys. Argonauts get it done. 8.5 point dogs. Wonderful game. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Shout out my boy Fraser Sopik with a big hit.
Big play.
Big play there.
Yeah. Game-changing play.
Yeah.
Recovered a fumble on a punt, made it a 2-score game, and away we went. But it was awesome. I was really, really fired up. I love the Grey Cup. Jonas Brothers, not my big cup of tea, but I will say
they should promote Canada bands.
I think you just go for who's the biggest guy that'll say yes. I think.
Actually
That was the
support
Jonas
that.
Brothers.
Yeah.
I think that's like if you're the Grey Cup, it's like sure you'd like to get a Canadian, you'd love to have Shania every year, you'd love to have
Did you
the
see all the
Biebs.
fans
Yeah,
in the front?
they did a good job of making it look like it was a lot
How
of
many
people.
of them actually follow the CFL? That's what I want to know.
Well, they also did a very good job of making it look like there's a lot of people there.
Yes.
But then like you see people that were actually on the field, and there wasn't that many people on the field. Anyways,
Yeah. But there was 50,000 plus people in the building
if
for
I
that
can
game.
if I can have one complaint,
Yeah.
you can't have the Grey Cup in a dome. Sorry, Vancouver. No, it's got to be like it's in
Outdoors,
November,
cold,
cold, Canadiana. Like it's got to be outside. I'm sorry, like it's a beautiful stadium. It's great to have
and
all
the
those
ball
people
should
in
be
it.
a beaver.
No, it's just. I think it's better when it's outside. A little chill in the air.
I missed it, but like Prince Harry was there too. Did you get excited to see him?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. I must have been
Commercial?
doing that with a beer or something at that time.
Is he still a big deal?
Wow,
Prince
it's a
Harry?
large name, absolutely.
But he defected a little bit from the royal family, didn't he? Didn't he get into it with the fam with Meghan Markle and that whole thing?
He's looking for
Shameful
appearances.
Herald.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, we've had a mention of the Royals before the Leafs on this show. So it's probably not a great start
The
for everybody.
Jonases and the Royals got in
but
before the Leafs.
I will say, I have one last thing to say. Argos.
There you go,
Yes.
Sammy.
All right.
Good for you, buddy.
Thank
Good
you.
for you.
Thank you.
Okay, plenty to digest out of Saturday night's.
You want to skip
Toronto
the
Maple
Tyson
Leaf.
fight, do you? You don't want to talk about it today?
That was it.
We'll save that for.
Embarrassing.
We'll talk about it in the national hour.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Let's not waste time on that until we need to waste time.
Too much content today.
Lots of content.
So much.
So a lot to dissect out of that Saturday night where the Leafs, with the help of Mitch Marner in overtime, 40 seconds in, beat the Edmonton Oilers. So we could start on depth scoring out of Bobby McMann. We could start on a big hit. We could start on the news that Austin Matthews is still nowhere to be found. I open it up to you, JB. Where do you want to go?
Let's start the hockey game itself from an overview perspective. What did you think of the matchup? How did the Leafs match up? How they look against the Oilers?
Yeah, I thought it was a terrific hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought
Fun Saturday night.
once again that the Leafs are showing signs of playing a style that I think is conducive to their head coach without many lulls. I thought they competed hard. Once again, Stolarz to me is just a rock.
Yeah.
And
This is
it's
really-
just not seen before for me in the 10 years Brendan Shanahan has been the president, that this type of goaltending has been provided for this long of a stretch, that you say, like, you need a good goal to beat them.
Yeah.
Right?
There were stretches where I felt good with Freddie Anderson in net for the Leafs. He had some great regular seasons for them. But, Sammy made a point before we came on the air talking about how Stolarz actually makes you feel like, not like he's going to give you good goaltending, but it's an advantage in the game. Like you have a leg up on the other team.
Yeah.
You're the guy, you're the team that's got, it feels like a cheat code a little bit having a goalie that's playing like this.
And who did he rob before the tying goal that I thought was going to be
In front of the net.
In front of the net. It came across. I can't remember who he robbed, but he robbed somebody right in front of the net before they tied it. And
Yes.
you kind of thought, well, that's another one of the ones
Made
that
it is.
saves.
And you know what else he did? He made a great poke on a pass out from behind the net to an open player in front. Like he fights, man, for a guy his size.
Yeah.
Playing hot. I do think that the way that they're playing, Kip, it's like they're just keeping games close. Like normally when they would be behind in a game, they open it up a bit, they start to chase, and all of a sudden it's odd man rushes a little bit. They just kind of hung around, and both Washington and Edmonton gave them the chance to get back in the game. Right? They were given gifts, and they took advantage of the gifts. The Evan Bouchard plays are obviously what I'm talking about here.
Tom Wilson in Washington.
And I'm not sure that that's great that you can count on the other team to make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
However, if you keep the game close, you put yourself in a position where one mistake can get you back in it. So,
let me ask you, and maybe that's kind of what you alluded to here, but we talked about it a bit on Leafs Talk after the game, that this is part of the recipe where not a lot happens for a lot of the game. And then these last couple wins, it's just been bang. All of a sudden, it just happens in the third period where they let the skill takes over, and you get a couple fortuitous moments by Evan Bouchard, and they take advantage.
You know how I felt the last few years watching the likes of Justin Hall or the lily pad jumping up with a minute to go in the period and getting
you did use to harp on that. Yeah.
And it's like,
just wait.
Just wait, wait for an opportunity, manage the clock, don't have to gamble. And they've cleaned that part up.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the biggest difference, that there seems to be a level of discipline that even when the game isn't going great, just don't give anything up. And to your point, just be patient and wait for that opportunity. When it comes, we don't know. But when they do, let's pounce and make the most of it. And that's the way the game has looked most often than not for the Leafs. I know there have been some bad games, but it's part of the learning process.
And doesn't that feel like how good teams have beat the Leafs in the past, where, the Leafs can't quite score, they can't get the next one, they can't get the next one.
And they wait for their mistake.
And they're hanging around, and all of a sudden one Leafs mistake, and you're like, God, they made one mistake. They played pretty well. Nick Paul goes down and scores or whatever. It's good recipe.
A lot of it probably has to do with these things you're talking about with personnel. Like the guys that they added, you think about Tanev's not going to get caught up the ice, make a dumb mistake late in the game. That's just not in his game. Hakanpää the same way. You've seen him through 2 games. He's still looking a little stiff to me, but he's not going to get caught up the ice. Oliver Ekman-Larsson definitely charges it up a little bit, but a couple of guys they added here are definitely more to that. They're going to stay back.
And they do a very good job of taking like the most dangerous middle part of the area of the net in front away, and that's why like Tanev can constantly block shots. Again,
8 shots or something the other night?
8 Saturday night.
Like some guys go half a year without 8 blocks,
and it's
8's absurd.
But he's always there.
Yeah, no, and that probably helps the goaltenders out. Just trust what's going on in front of them. Why don't we go to the coach? We'll get a clip from Craig Berube, his overview of the game. Clip 1.
A lot of special teams, obviously, in the second period. They came out and pushed pretty hard in the third. But, we don't, they had the puck more than us, early on in the third, but we didn't give up much. We really protected the interior of the ice tonight, I thought, our net front. I didn't, the second and third opportunities we did a real good job on. We battled. We didn't quit. It was a hard game. It was a good game. It's a hard game.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's a good game.
Don't want to go too long without mentioning Mitch Marner.
Before you go on to that, just one more thing on Tanev. Tanev and McCabe is something to me that the Leafs haven't necessarily had in years past. You put them up against
that
McDavid.
Pair.
Yeah, you put them up against McDavid's line. McDavid ends up with 2 points because he gets one on the power play. He gets one at the end of the night, and when they tie it. But I think McDavid was -3 in that game. They did an excellent job against that. Good gaps, just limiting their chances, blocking shots. Like he said, limiting the middle of the ice. Yeah. If I'm watching that game, it's like, wow, you can picture that in a playoff series against a good top line, having those 2 guys. So that was encouraging.
There's an article in The Athletic last week about how that pair, Tanev, McCabe, is like one of the 3 best pairs in the NHL at goals against, or expected goals
Really?
against, and keeping opportunities down.
Yep.
So
Or
great
you
early.
Just say Mitch Marner +3,
That helps.
David -3.
Yeah.
There's that can sum up the night too.
Yep.
And I thought the overtime where once again
On the
the
2-on-1.
most dangerous player is dictating defensively the play on the goal.
Yeah.
Pretty good night for Mitch Marner. He was the best player on the ice. And
Yeah.
that's a big thing to say when McDavid is also on the same sheet of ice.
For sure. Yeah. We'll get to the power plays, the special team stuff, but obviously, yeah, Marner was, he's the type of guy who can control the outcome of a game in a way that not many people can because of the way he plays at both ends of the rink. And I thought he controlled so much of the play, the pace, the ability to, on the power play. It was awesome.
The play in overtime is just absurd.
Yeah.
To get back on the to be the defenseman on the 2-on-1, get down to a knee, redirect it to the perfect soft spot, get up,
From,
accelerate.
like, maybe the best passer in the league.
Accelerate all the way down the ice. And then, I'm not going to kill Stuart Skinner here, but Stuart Skinner gives him the whole net to shoot
Sure,
it into, and
on
he
the
does.
ice,
And
yeah.
he shoots it into the wide open net that he gave him on the worst angle I've seen in a long time. But, yeah, he was awesome. He was awesome.
Okay, let's get Craig Berube's thoughts on Mitch Marner.
Yeah, he was excellent. He did so much good in all facets of the game: penalty kill, power play, 5-on-5. He did a great job of breaking up that 2-on-1 in that play and going the other way and scoring.
There you go.
Yeah.
Effusive. Just will not. I'm sorry, boys. We got to get the coach's thoughts. It's just he's not
That's
expressive.
fine. It's good to get the coach in on that.
He's not expressive.
Starting to win some people over, I think, Mitch.
What's that? Like who, the coach?
Yeah, everybody, maybe even the town. No, let's not jump to conclusions.
No, I think
here.
so. Do you want to talk contract stuff?
No, what's the point?
Well, I
What's
think
the
it's
point?
valid. Well,
What?
Because all this stuff is, it's, like last year when Willie would score goals, you go, okay, is he up in his dollar amount? Is he up in his value?
so did you see my poll that I put out today on Twitter, Kyper?
No, I did not. I should follow you.
You follow? Yeah, give me a follow.
I'm going to give you a follow. Tell me about your poll. I did not see it, and I
put
do
this-
follow you.
I know you do. I was genuinely interested in this because I don't really know where I'm at. I think I want them to sign him. I do, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So I put it out there and I said, where are we at on the Marner contract situation? Question mark. And my options were just sign him, let's see till playoffs, let him walk. Those are the 3 options. And what do you think's leading the way?
No, in this town, let him walk.
Let's see till playoffs was the final. So, and it's pretty close. 44.7% of people said just sign him. Let's see playoffs, 45.2%, and let him walk was 10%.
Okay, it's almost like you think they'll decide,
What do you mean?
right? It's I got news for you. If it's let's wait to the playoffs, there's a chance it'll be too late by then,
Oh, no question.
right?
Yes.
So it's you want a poll? Here's a poll. Sign him now or let him walk. Which one?
Me?
Yeah.
Sign him now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually think
But I don't know about your poll.
It's just
If everybody's saying wait to the playoffs,
yeah.
then they don't want to sign him
he's
now.
the foremost, most sensitive player in the league. The wait to playoffs thing would definitely hurt some feelings.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I
Do you know what I'm saying? It's look at the way he's playing.
So my poll
Look at what
just
he's-
costs at least a chance at signing him. Is that what you're getting at?
look what he's done throughout his career. He's one of the greatest Leafs already to have played, along with
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah.
And people don't want to sign him.
I think
It's that tells you how sensitive it's been.
Well, you got, a combined 90% of the people either want to sign him or want to see some more in playoffs. I think both sides here have kind of messed up, but particularly the Leafs in that, he's such a good player. And let's say you sign him and you give him a little bit more than you think he's worth or
Okay,
whatever.
hold on. Why a little bit more? I don't understand that. He'll get the raise that he's entitled to if he plays fair market value.
Okay.
There's not a little bit more. He's at 10-9. He's been that way for 6 years.
Okay.
So what's the what do you
tell
mean?
me. You tell me. What do you want to see him get paid? We do
I
this
don't want to
every
see
day.
him
What-
anything.
Well, what do you think is the number?
I think he could be worth close to Leon Draisaitl.
Which is 14 million?
Yeah, 14 million.
Jesus.
No, Jesus. I'm telling you that if you stuck him out in the market as an unrestricted free agent, I think someone's going to come to him with between 13 and 14.
That's great. I think the Leafs have messed up by letting it, let's say he's worth 12. And the Leafs said, yeah, we'll give him.
Okay, hold on. Why 12?
Well, because he's probably worth about 12. Because he's.
Why? Why 12? He's making 11 now.
Because he can't produce anything at 5-on-5 on his own. He can't produce in the big games.
Oh, my gosh.
These are
this
truths.
is the narrative.
Have you followed the team?
These are narratives that have been following him by
magic, by lies.
By you and others that just say he's not worth it. Get rid of him. He's not worth it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's not worth being the second highest paid player in the NHL.
He over the last 5 years, like only McDavid and maybe one other
the text
guy.
You have from someone telling you what to say. What is it?
Stop it.
Well, come on.
Stop it.
This is
he is the third highest producing guy the last 5 years.
I'm sure he is.
Don't tell me he's not up there with.
He is
with
up
all
there.
the rest of them, but he has not delivered a Stanley Cup.
No, we're talking
and
about.
he hasn't delivered in the playoffs.
If he gets paid $12.5 to $13 million or whatever number, that's the highest paid guys in the league. You always talk about this internal cap.
It's going up.
Matthews makes $13.5.
That's old money. You're talking about old money.
No one can pass anyone else internal caps and this internal culture, but the Leafs can't have one with their top guy.
But he may not. He might bypass it, and then
then they can't.
Well, they can, but they choose not to.
Right, like
not
other
that they
teams.
can't. They choose not to.
Right.
So, listen. McDavid is the number one guy in Edmonton. Okay. Edmonton thought that they were going to get Draisaitl for 13. And he said, no, the number's 14.
Mm-hmm.
You know what happened?
They gave him 14.
They gave him 14.
Right.
And the Leafs may be in the similar situation.
Look at Leon Draisaitl's playoff stats. To say that Mitch Marner is going to be worth what he's making is asinine.
If he goes to a conference final or he takes him to a Stanley Cup final, then he goes to 14.
Well, if he's able to produce like Leon does en route to it,
or he can pick another team to go to and they go, we'll give you 13 and a half, 14.
Think he's not in Leon's class, and there's no statistical measure that he is in Leon's class. Not one. Not any.
The stats will tell you he is. The numbers will. The
not
production.
The postseason numbers. Not even close in the postseason. Like 50% of his output.
But Austin's weren't either. And neither were Willie's. Okay? Because they're all the same.
But I don't get why you're trying to drive his contract to a place that's not
driving it. I'm telling you where it is.
And I'm telling you that that's not right. That's not accurate. That's a negotiating position that someone would set at the start of a deal.
No, and no one's. Why would someone need to tell me what I think he's worth after 25 years in the broadcasting business, 10 as an NHL player? Why? And I've lived through strikes and lockouts, and I've watched negotiations. Why would you think that I need somebody to feed me information so I can push Mitch Marner's numbers up?
I have no idea, but it always has felt like lobbying rather than genuine assessment.
But what about your stripping down of the value that he really provides?
I just don't think, listen, he provides
It's
a ton of
okay if
value.
you say he's not worth it. It's okay.
I'm saying he's not worth that Leon echelon. He's not.
No,
I just don't.
I think he's way more valuable than you think.
Well, Draisaitl has had 100 points 6 times in his career, and he has almost 108. He has 108 points in 74 playoff games.
He's making an argument.
Draisaitl, and they're not the same conversation to me. I'm sorry.
He's making an argument that he's Craig Berube's most important guy.
He is
past Matthews.
Wow.
Matthews,
but he hasn't been.
Okay.
But he hasn't. Matthews hasn't played at all under Berube. So Matthews been hurt, and this conversation
Matthews
we can
is
have
a terrific goal scorer.
But he's good defensively too. Kyper.
He doesn't provide as much value as Mitch Marner has to the Leafs as a penalty killer. Minutes played. Okay.
Yeah.
His point production, even with Austin out of the lineup.
Austin Matthews is a center who has a Hart Trophy, who's the captain of the team.
He's a terrific goal scorer.
Yeah, perhaps the best ever, up there with the top couple guys. Yeah.
But ask Craig Berube, like who who he thinks might be his most important player, even with Austin back, I bet you he'd be pretty darn close to saying Mitch.
So
For sure.
Austin's making
The only thing is they
13.5.
have never delivered in the playoffs, and they're all right there.
Sure. So
Okay.
Austin's going to make 13.5. Let's say they were to give Mitch 13. Can we do that or no?
Mitch could take 12.5. He can take 12. And if he does, then I'm saying that he may have left $2 million on the table. Okay. I'm not saying that Mitch won't sign. He won't give him the discount. He won't do this. He won't do that. That's for him to decide. But I'm telling you right now that guy is in the ballpark of all the rest of them in terms of where his value lies. Whether or not they chooses to take it or not is up to him.
Why don't we got Berube on this, right?
Yeah, he got asked by Luke Fox, asked him if he was worried about the contract stuff heading into the season. Clip 4.
I mean, I don't worry about that stuff because it's out of my control. I mean, and he's obviously not worrying about it. He's just playing hockey and he's enjoying it. He's had a great, every day. This guy has tons of energy and life at the rink and on the ice in practice and during the games. And, he's in a real good spot right now.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's what I would say about if Mitch Marner had what Leon Draisaitl did in the playoffs, he is 100% in the conversation with Draisaitl.
If you're Utah or if you're a team that needs scoring, they don't care. They don't
might
care about.
They you don't think they care at all? I think they care a bit when the biggest games. It's like he's shrunk in the biggest games, Kip. It's just a fact.
He's shrunk. So is everybody else. The team was never good enough. The team never had the depth on the blue line.
Like a defense.
They never had goaltending like this. Okay, it's like to put that he shrunk in the playoffs on him will not take away.
But we're talking about him. We're not talking about Wheelie.
Why aren't we talking about, like, you could have made the same argument for Matthews that he shrunk in the playoffs too, and he didn't deserve 13.25.
I think if he doesn't shrink in the playoffs, he gets 15. I do think these are relevant things. The point I was trying to make before we got off the rails here is I think had they gone out early and paid him, even knowing that it hasn't gone how they wanted at the end, it's impossible to deny from a fan perspective watching him here over this month that this guy is a guy who gets you into the playoffs, who is a difference maker, who's fun for the fans to watch and separates your team. Some nights nothing happens, and then he's the guy who makes something happen for you, and it just makes such a world of difference. To me, you're never going to regret having paid a guy like that. Maybe it's $100 million over 8 years. I just think now you're in a position where we're going to talk to Elliotte later. Talk about the salary cap going way up. And all of a sudden, I can see why, it's great for Mitch's bargaining that they're talking about the cap going way up because they're going to cost themselves some money for not having done it yet.
For sure.
Well,
I agree with that.
You can go back in history and you can just follow kind of, the crumbs on where it kind of screwed up and how one chased after the other and one up the other. And now it looked like last year it was Matthews and Nylander and Mitch was a distant third. And now it's like, okay, is he equal to Willie?
To me,
is he better than Willie?
Where I would feel comfortable at would be Matthews 13. Was it 13.5? Marner 13. Willie at what he's at. Because I was in the camp, I was starting to wonder if Willie was more important. But you watch what Marner does in all facets of the game. He's incredible.
But it's just,
but he's right below. He's just right. He's right there.
It's not realistic that a guy's making 11, and then the cap rockets.
But Kipper, can I tell you
he only gets $1.5 million to $2 million raise.
But
people don't think he was an 11 guy. They think that contract stunk.
Do you know what? Just taking $500,000 less or $1 million less would do for his perception in this market. Where it's like a guy that's
kind of it. Where it's like always ringing every dropout has not gone well.
Listen,
like that's where this started.
You know what I call him? I call him a sap that you got to suck up to the fans by cutting off $1.5 million, so Sammy can come on our show and say, "What a great guy! He took $1.5 million less because." He wants to win us over.
But
that's a loser in my mind.
A loser to me is someone who grinds every nickel and doesn't care about winning.
But you know better than everyone, he cares the most what guys like Dumbo Me thinks. By far, of all the guys, he cares the most. So why isn't he trying to help his perception that he cares so much by not grinding them for every dollar and talking about $14 million a year, Kippy?
But Matthews can grind them for every dollar.
But no, there was no grind.
There was a grind.
It's never the contracts are announced before we're aware there's a contract.
There was no grind because the Leafs just said, We'll give you whatever you want.
Because he's better.
We'll give you whatever you want.
Because he's better player.
What does better mean?
Because he's just better. He's a better hockey
goal
player.
scorer.
Better goal scorer.
Better playmaker.
Better center.
Better playmaker.
No, but he's
better penalty killer.
Anyways.
Excuse me?
He's better.
Is he a better penalty killer?
No.
Is he a better playmaker?
Kip, if you put him in the middle, him and Marner in the middle, and took 32 GMs and said,
where's
one,
better for you?
He can compete in a physical game.
We don't see the game the same way, buddy.
Okay.
We don't. You think most goals is better.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking about. Yep, that's it.
I think 32 GMs, if offered one of them, take the 6'3" center who can kind of pull a line along with them and do what all the Matthews things are.
Yeah.
Do the hardest part of the game.
We do not agree.
No. But I mean, like, I was prepared to come in here today and have a conversation like this.
Listen, I didn't even want to go down this path.
You want to go? Well, that's because you're trying to walk into UFA.
Voted me. You said let's do the contract.
That's because you're trying to walk into
UFA. No. Don't go there.
No, but I knew we'd have some sort of conversation. But I think the point is that there is a number to be reached where we're talking about the same slice of salary, whatever, where this doesn't have to be everyone's all rattled over $750,000 or what are the differences between what you think and what I think. And to me, Marner and the Leafs, there's something there that doesn't need to be this
contentious.
Yeah, this like Michael Jordan, and I took that personally
it's
all the time.
It's always contentious. It feels contentious.
With Mitch, not with Willie.
No.
Absolutely.
Not with
they just do their contract.
But they just gave Willie everything at his highest point possible.
Yes.
They just were like, we
which
better.
Is not awesome either.
Which was not great either, but he's lived up to it. He's been excellent.
Somebody's got to take it on the chin between the three of them.
No, that's not what compromise is, though.
No.
Like, I would love to just check my phone and be like, oh, they did Mitch at 12.75 for 8 years.
Where did Matthews compromise? Not only did they give him the money, but they said, tell us 4 years,
Give him the
5
money.
years.
He took less than
Why didn't he
Draisaitl.
take 8?
I agree.
Why wouldn't you sign him to 8?
Because he wants to make more
But
money.
I agree that that's stupid too. Like you're preaching to the choir on that. I hated that.
David had to take 8.
No.
He didn't have to take 8. He chose
had
to take 8. He chose to take 8. They would take whatever he would give him.
All right. Everybody took 8, though. Everybody made the commitment of 8 except Matthews.
Have Mitch take 5 then. Go for it. Don't care.
I think
Just
he would
trying to lock up a good player.
I think he would take 12.5 at 3 or 4 years.
I think that'd be amazing.
Perfect.
Be amazing.
Perfect.
To me,
Sign
it's like,
tomorrow. Done deal.
what sucks about this is like, he played so awesome last night, and he is paid this year to be a Maple Leaf, played awesome for it, and the fans can't come on our show and enjoy the meal. It's like going to Jacob's and you had a great steak dinner and you're arguing about what you're going to eat tomorrow for dinner. Like, enjoy this.
PB&J's for lunch tomorrow, boys.
Like, he's here. He was awesome.
You guys
for this
brought
team.
up the contract. I didn't.
Wow.
Okay, I was enjoying my steak. And you said, let's talk about the steak tomorrow.
It's the coach is talking to the contract. We talk about it because that's a relevant thing after a night like last night.
I don't know. I'm having a blast, boys.
It's good talk radio.
I love
Okay,
it.
there was a hit.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got time to talk about the
Yeah,
hit?
we got a little bit of time. We got time.
Okay, okay, seriously. Like,
Seriously, what are you talking about?
what is, what's the big deal?
With the hit?
Yeah. Other than it was bad.
Yeah.
And he got suspended.
Okay.
Okay, what's the big deal?
You think the length was not a big deal, or you didn't think the hit was that bad?
No, the hit was bad.
It was bad.
But so what? I mean, we've seen hits like this before, and
Okay.
it's standard that you're going to get suspended 2 games.
Mhm.
And then if you hurt a guy, you're going to get 3 games. And then if you have priors, it's 4 games. And if you've been warned multiple times and it's your 4th suspension, you go to 5 games.
So you think this was like, bad hit, they got it right, here's your 5 games.
I don't know if they got it right.
Yeah.
That's
In the ballpark of right?
They're in the ballpark of Tanner Janot.
Yeah.
Okay, it starts with 3, and he's done it before. It's not his first illegal hit to the head.
Yeah.
Tack went on, and now you're between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So what is the big deal?
What do
Why
you
are
think?
people so upset?
I don't know.
I thought that the intentions of Reeves was way nowhere near as bad as the one on Besser.
Yeah.
Where on Besser, intends, goes out of his way, puck's not there, throws it on elbow, hammers him. I thought Ryan Reeves made a play for the puck.
No.
It's bad. He should have got suspended, but I don't think he deserved 5 games. I thought it was a Toronto tax situation.
I think they're in the ballpark, both of them. What do we see? We saw Gallagher last year get 5.
Mm-hmm.
He had a chicken wing, though.
Yeah. Reeves actually, like when you teach people the forecheck, you lead with that stick at the puck, and he did that. Like he took a swipe at the puck first, and then he's going to, he's a big, strong guy, and he catches him in the head. It's on you to not be reckless.
It's got to control your shoulder.
It gets emotional, and even for our panel Saturday night, Hockey Night in Canada, it gets emotional for sure because, Edmonton fans on social media are screaming bloody murder and, it's emotional. But, I've done this for 25 years, and I can tell you that, I get Luke Gastick on the show saying we got to get it out of the game because that's been a tagline for like 25 years. You see a hit, we got to get that. Well, no kidding, right? Yeah. I know we got to get it out of the game, but if you really look at it, we have gotten that out of the game.
Yeah, it's way better.
That never happens.
Yeah.
But we were close to 600 games this year. We've had this is the second incident. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got news for everybody. It is out of our game.
As much as it can be in a game of inches.
And the truth is, people that said that he deliberately went after him, or he come on. They're first of all they're friends, they're buddies.
I guess he went to the room at intermission, went and apologized.
He's racing after the game, to your point, to go and apologize. And in my era, all I heard was scrape that piece of crap off the ice and drop the puck. And it's it's not like that anymore. Yeah. So it was just a bad executed hit. Okay,
it stinks for Edmonton.
It was a bad accident.
He's playing 21 minutes a night for them, 5 seconds less than McDavid.
You're telling me now Reeves came off the bench and said, I'm going to go rip that guy's head off? Yeah. That's what I had to worry about. These kids don't have to worry about that today.
I think a lot of it goes back to guys not expecting to get hit either. Nurse comes around the net. He's not really paying attention. It's you're talking about your day. Anybody who comes around the net like that, it's you got to have your head up. It's a situation. Yeah. And not blaming him. It's clearly a horrible hit. Yeah. But it just goes back to the conversation we've had a million times. Guys just don't expect it. And Reeves, full speed downhill, it's not a good recipe for... Not a good recipe.
I get it. You can sit there and say you left himself vulnerable, and that's up to him now to decide, moving forward. How much more do I have to have of a radar? And, it could have been a clean check, and he still could have been hurt, So... I mean, it doesn't really matter that he left himself vulnerable. That's only for him to decide in the future how much more I got to protect myself, get my head up, get my stick up, make someone eat it before I ever get in this situation ever again. That's on him to decide that. But people saying he should have the right to not feel, vulnerable is
that's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
Let's we
still
got
a really dirty hit.
It is.
Yeah.
We got the coach on it. Let's listen to clip 5 on the Reeves suspension.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's tough. I mean, it's a lot, but at the same time, I get it too. It's, they've come down hard on hits to the head, and it's not like Revo tried to hit him in the head. It was just, it's tough play.
Tough play.
We got a clip 2 there on him. Should we check out number 6 as well, please?
Yep. His type of game, and sometimes things happen. And it's not like he's a dirty player. He's not a dirty player. He's a clean player, in my opinion, for his role. And there was no intention of him doing that. It just happened.
And,
I don't think he is dirty.
No, I don't either.
I don't want to compare. We had people are telling me they loved our Marty McSorley conversation on Friday.
Yeah.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah. All right. And I'm not comparing this to Marty McSorley taking a stick to Brechier's head.
But
there is always circumstances around it that people that don't necessarily understand the game or have ever played it before cannot comprehend. Mm-hmm. And for a guy like Craig Berube to come in from day one and just drive down their throats every
Finish.
shift, finish. And what that means to Mitch or Willie or Austin is entirely different what it means to that guy.
Yeah.
So when that guy jumps out there and he sees a chance to do something that will get him a pat on the back, he goes and tries to his best of his ability. But the game is very fast, and it's knee-jerk reaction sometimes, and it's subconscious sometimes, and execution can go astray.
I think you and I, probably you more than me, but have thrown hits in your career where the second it happens, like, like that didn't go exactly how I thought it was going to go, like as it unfolds, and I get it.
There was one night in Hartford, I hit Gary Galley.
What?
Our
Have you ever
boy.
brought this up before?
No, let me tell you. What's that?
Oh, we never brought this up with him
No,
before.
we've never brought this up before.
Next time we got to have him on and talk about this.
And I was absolutely ashamed
Oh, really? Yeah.
of my hit. They carried him off on a stretcher.
Really?
And to this day, I was so ashamed, I couldn't even bring it up to him. We've worked on Hockey Night in Canada. We've done playoffs together. And it made me so ashamed. I couldn't even have the nerve or the balls, say whatever you want, to go up to him and say, Gary, I never addressed this to you before, but I felt so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
Couldn't even explain it to him. So, Gary, there's my public apology to you for the first time, man.
Now,
I'm so sorry.
Did this happen because you were locked in?
I was locked in.
Like
but
that, for me, it's like you're mentally committed. I'm finishing this check. And as you're going to do it, something changes in their positioning. And you're like, I wasn't open-minded to changing my own mind here.
Yeah,
And now I
Reeves
got-
had been sitting for how long? Wasn't that right after the 5?
Season
No, it's right,
coming
but
around
right.
the
They
net,
had another
he's-
kill. He comes around the net. He's like, oh my
I'm
God,
going to get one here.
10 Beller.
Yeah.
And boy,
We should take a break.
oh my God, yeah, we gotta go.
We're so late.
We gotta go.
yeah.
What a segment.
Sorry,
Wow.
guys.
Wow.
Wow.
Sorry, my friend.
We'll talk to you
All right,
guys
let's-
again.
Take a break here, and I'll just feel shame during the commercial break. More Real
You don't
Kyper and
need to.
Bourne after the break. All right. Did we catch our breath?
On to hot Cali Yarncroc talk.
No, hold on.
Bobby McMann. No.
Boys, I got
right,
a big read here.
Oh, no.
This is a long one, and
Save us a little time for the end
here
of
we
the
go. Okay.
hour.
This is first cold read here. So
right.
here we go. Who wants to win a bunch of cash while doing the best this holiday season?
I do.
Okay, it's Sportsnet 590 The Fans, fortune supporting food for kids. Here's what you need to know. We've created a 50-50 lottery where the more money we raise, the more kids we can feed in the GTA, and the more you can win. The current take-home price is $50,000. Someone is going to take that jackpot home on Thursday, December 19th. And if you get your tickets early, there are a bunch of amazing early bird prizes, including a pair of tickets to Taylor Swift.
Whoa.
The Eras Tour this Saturday night, courtesy of Rogers. Get your ticket by Friday at 9 a.m. for the chance to win. For more details and to buy your tickets, go to the Food for Kids 5050.ca or text the word cash 590 and we'll send the link right to your phone. It's the 50-50 fortune supporting food for kids, standard message and data rates apply, Ontario only. That website again is foodforkid5050.ca. There you go. Are you guys okay?
Are we?
So this
we
is
done?
fast
Sorry.
because Taylor
So
Swift only has 4 shows
Yeah, he's
left
going to get
or
100
something?
more shows. He's going to ride me off the
4.
highway. Probably
4.
ride me off the highway again.
3 maybe. I heard
I
they
think it's
were
3.
unbelievable. Everyone who's gone has said it is spectacular.
Okay, there we
worth-
go, boys. Okay, how'd I do? Okay.
You did
Yeah,
great.
you did great.
Great.
You
I
did
had a
great.
little nap. Sorry for that's why I was
And
checked out.
I just keep hearing amazing things about her.
Yeah.
Like,
Listen, boys, we had enough Taylor Swift content on Saturday night. Holy crap. Well, let's
No.
just move on. Like,
fine.
can we move on? Like, oh my God.
This is a bad time to give Sam our friendship bracelet. We
Oh God!
present
It's
him
like everything. It's like, oh, that Swifty, boo. It's like, oh my
a friend of
God.
mine,
Rump.
a friend of mine is is one of the sponsors, so they actually can call her at home.
What kind
Yes.
of tier of sponsorship
Pardon?
is that?
They call her at home and they ask her if she could mind either staying a little longer at one of their corporate appearances or whatever. And then her mom goes, just a second, I'll ask her. Taylor!
Come on.
And then she
What?
goes, yep, okay, no problem. And then hangs up. Like, no lawyers, no, my people will talk to your people.
Really?
She's just the type of person that would just say yes right away.
Wow.
It's a Swifty show.
Yeah, listen. She seems like a sweetheart.
Should we turn the page now?
A sweetheart wouldn't escort half of Toronto off the Gardner during rush hour.
I'm impressed with her.
Nah, she's fine.
Okay.
All
Were you
right.
impressed with Bobby McMann?
Yeah. I got to say,
You weren't even sure if the goal went in on the breakaway.
I was impressed by Cuthbert, which, I mean, CC, I shouldn't be blown away by him nailing something, but he nailed the call. And I thought it hit the post and comes out.
Mhm.
But
Well, he's there, and he's got a
Yeah.
better view than you.
the speed was breathtaking, fellas. Like, I couldn't believe he was going to win that race. And he did win that race. I mean, breathtaking, buddy. It took my breath away. I stood up off the couch. You guys are the worst. Yeah, I'm not really sad about it, at least.
Isn't there a Seinfeld episode where a baby's
Look
breathtaking?
at the baby. Look at the baby.
Was it not? I don't know. I don't watch
Very,
that.
very sad, breathtaking. What the hell's going on with my show?
In Sammy's defense,
It was amazing speed.
great burst of speed.
He can only play, though, as a top six. He
Exactly.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that as
Well,
a
there-
third liner.
That is a reasonable point. That like the second you play this guy with players, you have a new player. Like he's a lot more useful. I do wonder when everyone comes back where they slot him in because he doesn't seem to be able to create on his own. But put him in on a line that's in the right
he
end.
can- when he puts his mind to it, man,
Yeah, like
he can go.
He might make Berube mental because he has all the tools, and why can't you do that all the time, sort of thing.
the play he made on the first goal is my favorite play, where he gets in on the forecheck, hammers Emerson, wins the puck, gets it to the front of the net, and ends up scoring it. It's just like Berube watches that. He's like, you haven't been doing that? Why in the
Yeah.
bottom six? It's like he feels empowered or something when he's out.
How much do you blame Bouchard on both goals? The turnover on the Nyes goal. Both plays, by the way, Skinner is allowed to make better plays on those. Like, you don't have to get beat.
Just flip the goalies and Oilers win,
That is a no-brainer.
right?
Yep.
That's what it's
Like,
coming down
McMann
to.
makes no fakes. Skinner's just so far out, he
I
can't
think that's
keep up with
just
the speed. Back.
What Edmonton Oilers fans have to deal with, no different than Pittsburgh or San Jose or Ottawa with Carlson all those
Mhm.
years. It's just he's really good in that end, and he's really good on the power play, and he's got a big shot, but like it's a mystery.
They were up 2-1 with 6:55 on the clock when he goes to make a cross his own zone sauce pass.
There
To a guy
was-
who's changing.
There
The
was
guy who's changing.
there was one camera angle out of the corner,
Yeah.
and it was like, what do you see?
He's like throwing it through.
Why would you ever attempt that? Did it hit McDavid
It
in
hit
the shin?
McDavid, like in the hip or something.
What do you see that 18,000 people don't see?
Yeah.
It's a one-goal game, and you're along the boards. Like, you're allowed to use the boards.
Yes.
Just get it out there. Anyways.
And, credit to Matthew Nyes who rips that. But,
Yeah.
it's top of the circles. No tip, no screen. Skinner can give him one there if he wants. It's allowed.
The only thing is still a mystery is, what do you do now is try to start solidifying third lines.
Mhm.
You've kind of noticed there's other teams that have had much more success, i.e. Winnipeg.
Yeah. Winnipeg's third line.
Even Washington's third line, looks pretty darn good. But
Mhm.
right now, you don't have any feel for a third line for the Leafs.
They're Robertson, Camp, Holmberg. That's on Daily Faceoff today.
Holmberg was better too. No,
It's just,
Camp is kind of finding some relevance. They're putting him out there in the D zone the way Keith used to.
yeah.
He's coming around on Camp and
I can't believe how much Nick Robertson falls down. Like, I sent out a rude tweet about them having to ring out his jersey at the intermission. It's just,
it's still
he's on the ice the entire game.
a big man's game.
I know.
And sometimes those guys can find a way, but Nick hasn't physically.
No.
Give him enough room, he can shoot a puck. We've known that. But his battle, to your point, is staying on his feet when the checking gets tight.
Well, and look at guys his size who have success in the league. It's guys who don't get hit. Like Marner's a good example. He's obviously much bigger than Robertson, but he doesn't get hit. Patrick Kane doesn't get hit. All these guys are evasive when they're smaller. There's not a lot of guys who are small and he's trying to play Berube's style. It's not his game. That's not going to work for him trying to be a big guy.
Okay, we only got a few minutes here, but let's talk about Craig Berube and his latest Austin Matthews, his captain's update.
Is he coming back for the game this week? Or
Austin?
Yeah.
I do not see him for the game this week.
Has he been able to skate in this last couple days here?
No.
Okay, you had a tweet that
People are just killing me for.
What'd you tweet?
It's just ridiculous.
He's not playing?
No, that they're just hiding everything.
Oh, yeah.
Why is it so clandestine?
Yeah.
NFL teams list all their injury reports, and it's a 10-time more violent league.
You can't even compare.
Why not?
Because
it's a more violent league.
I know. It's just NFL. That's what they've done all these years, and betting's been a part of that for
no one gambles in the NHL.
History. If bettors now complained, like I was with somebody the other day. It's like the Leafs are killing my fantasy team because you don't know whether to drop him or trade him, I don't know what they do in fantasy, but you have no choice because you think he's coming back the next game and he's not, and he's pissed.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no pressure on the league to forward information like the NFL.
Well, I mean, the Leafs, they really hacked at McDavid's ankle that whole game. They were just trying to kill his ankle that entire game. They were just really going right after it.
To your point, people don't really...
It's not Kyper's prime anymore here. Like, guys aren't going to... like, if you're not giving him a hack and a whack when he goes by you every game, regardless of what his injury are, you're not doing your job. Like, it's not like in the heat of a game, you're like, oh, my God. While he's trying to dance around, let me hack him in the back.
Are you suggesting that
playoff time totally different?
2.5 weeks ago, when they said day to day, they knew it wasn't day to day. Are you suggesting that?
Of course,
I don't buy that.
I don't either.
What?
I don't buy it.
So you think it's a disconnect between Leafs and Matthews situation?
Think it's a disconnect.
It's just
I think
not coming around.
It's
whatever
not
this
coming.
thing is.
Exactly. It's just not coming around.
Okay.
They're like, is your back ready today, pal?
No, it's not. It's a little stiff.
Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow. Yeah, we'll try tomorrow.
I do think
no,
that they would look
today.
at the schedule and have Saturday to Saturday one game in between and say, okay, we'll just miss that one game and it gives you a whole week. But I would like to see him on the ice. You know, that would, if he doesn't play on Saturday, I think there's on Sunday.
Yeah,
this week.
it's
Sunday.
Wednesday against Vegas and then
Utah.
You can see them like looking at this rest period, but that's pretty concerning if you play a month of hockey without.
Yeah.
You know, while claiming to be day to day, something lingering that long is not great. We have a second one. Is that any worthwhile?
What's the second
Matthews
one?
update too?
Yeah, play it.
Sure.
I think it's a little bit of a holding pattern, but he's not getting worse. So that's a good thing. It just takes time. It's just taking time. It's taking long. But it is what it is, and he's doing what he needs to do to get back in the lineup and get healthy. And our team needs to just push on without him right now.
I can only imagine like the team around him to get him healthy right now.
Oh my God!
Right?
There's better
Like a NASCAR crew, just people
Formula One.
They're spending a few dollars on him getting healthy
There's
right
like
now.
15 people in white coats
walking around in one of those
him.
game ready like ice compression things at all times.
Doctor, and doctor.
And before we end our Leafs hour, we do have an update on Calle Yarncroc. Craig Berube, clip 7, please.
Yeah, tough on Yarny, right from camp, obviously, and it's he's got to get it fixed, and he'll be out a while. But it's too bad because he's a player that we liked and can help us, and really haven't had that opportunity to do that.
He underwent groin and sports hernia surgery today. It's listed as month to month.
I got hurt at the end of the year that I had 17 goals. I missed like 8 or 10 games. Cost me my 20-goal season. And I could not even get out of bed. It was that painful.
But I mean,
and I needed 6 months to heal it.
You don't think it was the Yarncroc?
I don't know. I don't know what the surgery can do for you. I passed on the surgery.
Calle Kucherov?
And it got better.
Ooh.
Okay, stick around. Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, next. National. All right, let's take it national on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 In Calgary, this hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. In a couple of minutes, we'll welcome in Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts. And he's got plenty of them for our show coming up.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime,
Talk about Darnell Nurse.
Darnell Nurse,
Ovechkin.
now
Ovechkin.
considered
Good one.
out 5 to 10 days, according to his head coach. So the good news is no one's using the C word, concussion.
Yeah, that's great news. I mean, we talked a little bit in the other hour, but Nurse almost at 21 minutes per night for Edmonton. That would be a significant loss for them. McDavid plays 5 seconds more per game than this guy. And whatever you think of Nurse, you may not love his contract. He's certainly a valuable guy compared to, whoever they're going to bring in next. I think Josh Brown probably. And so they're going to miss him. But 5-10 days is good news.
And listen, I know we talked about this a little bit in our first hour. Nobody liked the hit. No one wants to see anybody go down like that. But, as kind of I mentioned, I think the league has done an unbelievable job of cleaning these type of hits up. I know we've only seen, I think, 2 to my recollection
This year.
And that's close to 600 games. Yeah. We're teetering on the quarter of a season mark here, and we just don't see these anymore.
To your point, when I worked at The Score, I used to do this article called Court of Public Opinion. I would lay out the facts and the replay and whatever, and I was doing one every other day. Every day was like what did you think of the bad hit from last night? It's just so much more infrequent, which is great.
Yeah, and I think there was consideration that Darnell was hurt. Consideration that it's not that it's not Reeves' first time with an illegal check to the head. He's been warned. He's been fined. He's been suspended in other instances. So once you're into that 3, 4, 5 game range, it is what it is.
Yeah. And so for the Oilers, such a weird team and year. They're, 9-7-3 or something, right? 9-7-2 at this point. Fifth in the Pacific Division by points. It just feels like there's so much there for this team, and an injury would do significant harm to that.
Now, we also have kind of felt that Edmonton is a contending team, but whether or not we believe that blue line is strong enough as is, they lose Nurse now. What does that do to the pressure of that blue line?
Well, yeah, the bottom 6 right now in daily faceoff is Kulak, Emberson, Dermott, Brown. You're not winning the Stanley Cup like that. You're just not. So add Nurse into the mix. Presumably you add someone else. Nurse has been good with Kulak. That's a fine pair, but you probably need a little help on the bottom pair still. Yeah,
and you look at that game on Saturday night, it wasn't the bottom half of their decor that cost them.
No, Bouchard had a couple of pretty significant gaffes there.
And
does he not remind you, though, the way people talk about him is like a Nylander type of guy in Toronto, the way that it's like you just love what he gives you, but sometimes you're like, ugh.
I'm Erik Karlsson.
Karlsson's a better comparison, you're right.
Yeah.
Erik Karlsson, he is this generation's version of Erik Karlsson, who's got so much upside offensively and can shoot the puck, and he's awesome on the power play with Draisaitl and McDavid, but when that puck goes behind him, it's an adventure.
The McMann one that banks off the boards and goes by him and he doesn't quite go all out to get back, he knows he's not going to catch McMann there. I understand the feeling of being like, what's the point? But you still have to skate your hardest just in case he bobbles it or pulls up or something. You can't just, my guy's got him. You got to skate.
I think that's where the Willie comparison comes in. And one of the things that's, really stuck in the craw of Leaf fans for a long time being like, he just doesn't get in the corners. He doesn't skate hard. It's just these moments where you're like, that really bothers fans.
Yeah.
And judging by the state of Oilers Twitter on Saturday night and throughout the day and the memes I was being sent, it's not.
They probably didn't prefer the
enjoying
pizza off McDavid's hip to Matthew Nyes either. But anyway.
Okay. We're going to bring in our next guest. Should we put him on Zoom? I'm scared what his hair would look like.
Is it everything you hoped it could be?
It didn't disappoint.
Hey, Sam, I got to ask you,
Elliotte.
Sam. You pull out that sweatshirt every day. The day after they win the Grey Cup.
Oh, hey
Like,
now. No, I go to 5-6 games a year. I wear hats. I'm an Argos guy, bud. Don't even
Big
come for me.
Argo.
Oh,
Like that Canadian accent. Jeez.
Is there a clause in your contract with Sportsnet that you can't shower after a Saturday night game?
That's right. It's Saturday to Wednesday. It's a shower.
Saturday to Wednesday. Elliotte, thanks for joining us. Of course, Hockey Night in Canada and 32 Thoughts. So we're just talking a little bit about the Darnell Nurse hit, and Reeves gets 5 games. My question to you is, if they contemplated 5 games, why not just announce an in-person hearing that he probably waived to do it on the phone anyways, and get more bang for your buck on the severity of a 5-game suspension? Or am I off on this? Because I was surprised it went up to 5 when I didn't hear in-person hearing.
You know, it's a great question, Nick. I that's the one thing I was wondering, in person or not. That's the only question I had. And when they said no in person, I thought it was going to be 5 exactly. And you know, Nick, you were a really active union member when you played. I remember I first started covering the NHL right around 94, and I remember going to those meetings, and you were one of the guys who was always there. And, you know, one of the things that's happened over the past couple of years is the Players Association started appealing suspensions that they never appealed before. If you look at it, anything that's 6 games or more, the in-person hearing, you get the arbitrator before the commissioner. And those ones would get appealed from time to time. But anything under 6 games goes right to the commissioner with no in-person hearing. And the players never used to challenge that, never. And last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember when it was now, they challenged 3 of them. And that, we'd never seen that. And what it taught the Department of Player Safety, Kypreos and his staff, is they have to justify everything. They have to be able to say, this suspension is this, because if not, we're going to get appealed on it. And if our appeals aren't solid and our reasoning isn't solid, eventually we're going to get caught. So I think they're even more by the book and by precedent of what existed earlier. And if they didn't go to in-person hearing here, I think it's because either they thought it wasn't worth that, or they were like, we better stick to what's happened in the past, because if we get grieved, we don't want to lose to an arbitrator.
Elliotte, you're so in touch with all the stuff that's going on with the league. And during your headline segment on Saturday night, you talked about the salary cap. And I think that was a really interesting discussion where you're talking about the league blowing past what was perceived to be the upper limit of the escalator, taking it to 92.5. What, could you go a little deeper on that for us?
Well, sure, Justin. So basically, to make a very long story much shorter and much easier to understand, when they did this CBA in 2020, like, we did not know what the world was going to look like.
Sure.
We were just into COVID. Everybody was hanging on for dear life in terms of just the financial health of all these different leagues. And basically, the players decided that, they would accept, for a low escrow, they would accept some guardrails on the salary cap. And basically what happened was, fortunately for the NHL, their revenues were so strong coming out of it, and they've done very well, that what should have been 50-50 blew past those guardrails. And so, like, depends on who you talk to. Like, some people are really optimistic. They say the cap would be $100 million now if it was still under the previous system. There are some people who are a little less optimistic. They say probably around 95 or 96. But the fact is, it would be higher than the 88 it's at now. Mm-hmm. And next year's the last year of the current CBA. If they don't change it, there could be a massive spike, assuming they go back to 50-50 in the new deal, which we assume they will. Like, again, the most optimistic people think that in 2 years, the cap could be 110. I've had some people who would say it would be a little lower than that, and 110 is a little bit too high, but it's not like it's $15 million shy of that. So I think they have a choice, Justin. They can stick with what the CBA says for next year, which is 92.5, and then go to a huge jump the year after, or they can smooth it out next year and have a bit higher of a jump, maybe to 95 or 97. And the reason this ended up on my lap is the Players Association is doing its fall tour right now, and they're telling the players that this is a possibility. And nobody from the NHL has said, I'm wrong. They won't say anything. They don't want to talk about labor. But the people that I really can get best talk to is they say it's not impossible. It still has to be negotiated. Some of the teams are aware of it. A lot of the players and agents are aware of it. And there's going to have to be a negotiation here, Justin. But the fact is that there is room, if they want, and they can agree, to go well past 92.5 to maybe 95 or 97 and not have it hurt the players where they hate the most, which is escrow.
Yeah, you can give Mitch 14 if you want, Kip, if it's 110.
I got to tell you, Nick, I heard you last hour, and I had people saying, like, Nick's crazy. They think Mitch is going to have to take a bit of a pay cut.
What do you? You're the insider. You tell us.
I just wanted to see what your reaction would be when I said that. I've never heard this much silence.
He can take any haircut he wants. None of my business. I'm just telling you what I think.
No, first of all, he's playing great. Like, at the end of the day, he's going to decide because he's playing great, and he's doing nothing to hurt his value as a player. I think this. I think if you look at some of these negotiations right now, Kaprizov, I think the Wild are just going to take the knee on Kaprizov and do whatever he wants, but I think it's going to be a massive number. I think the Rantanen negotiation has been more challenging than Colorado hoped or wanted, so we'll see where that one goes. The thing with Marner is, like, if the higher the cap goes, like, we all know that Toronto considers Matthews the ceiling, right? And so, I mean, look, I think he wants to stay. I think they want him to stay. I'm just really curious to see what's the number.
Listen, Elliotte, is it more now just a formula of percentage that the players can always go back to the cap and say that, I'm getting 16% of the cap or 15.5. That's what I got before. The cap's moving up. You just plug in the numbers, man. There's no negotiation. I'm just going to take the same percentage that say others have or I have in the past.
Yeah, and you know what, Nick, I think that's exactly what happens. Like, that happened, Draisaitl did that. He took between 15 and 16 this year, and that's the big number. The big one is McDavid. I think that's 15.9, if I remember correctly. The other guys are all around like 15.2, 15.3. But the thing is now, Nick, as we just talked about with you and Justin, we could be blowing past what that 15 is. Like, if we're going up to 97 and into the hundreds, and that's where the math is. Like, I'm not good at math. When I got into sports, I told people I'm not doing any more math. So people tell me, but that's what the math is saying right now. And you look at it. It was McDavid 12.5. It was McKinnon 12.6. It was Matthews 13.25. It was Draisaitl 14. And I think the teams are going to fight it. They're going to say, look, like, even if it is 15%, we're not sure. Aside from McDavid, we want guys making 15, 16, 17 million. But people are going to try to argue for it. The thing is, I look at it when it comes to Marner is, like, at some point in time, everyone's going to have to sit down at a table and say, you want to stay? Yes. We want you to stay? Yes. Okay. Well, let's stop with the stop with the macho BS and what's the real number? And eventually that's going to happen.
Are there some owners around the league? Is this going to change the way the NHL looks? I think a complaint from some people like myself has been that this flat cap has kind of made the league, everyone's kind of the same, right? You can't have too many good players. Is this maybe the first time that we'll see some distancing of people being like, I don't know if I want to pay to the cap, and then some separation between the Yankees and, I don't know, who doesn't spend in baseball? Tampa Bay? No idea.
Pittsburgh.
Sure.
And Tampa Bay is a good one too. It's possible. Like, one thing here is there's a floor, so you have to get to the floor at least. But so that's different than baseball. But there's no question it's possible. I think there is some worry about what that will do for the haves. That'll really make life even better for them. I think, Justin, that I'm curious to see if this is going to lead to any more debate on the different taxation area. Because that could even make it a bigger weapon for the Floridas and the Tampas and the Nashvilles and the Dallases of the world. Like that could make it even better for them. But, like the thing is about this also, Justin, is that the way it's going this year, there's a chance that the owners might have to pay the players money. Like the players may get more than 100% of their salaries,
Oh my goodness.
which is I don't think that's happened in 15 years. So I think that's another layer about this. Would they rather write them a check if they have to, or would they rather just bump up the cap more?
I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, Elliotte, and I think you said we just assume that it's 50-50 moving forward. My spider senses tell me that the league's not going for 50-50. They're gonna shrink the players' percentage.
Well, maybe. I mean, the thing is, you can always ask, right? It's a negotiation. You can always ask. But the only thing I'll say is this. I think Bettman, like all you can go by is Bettman's history. He comes out of the Board of Governors meeting in October, and he says, I wouldn't mind announcing this before Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Nick, if their goal is to shrink that, there's going to be no announcement before Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Now, maybe he sings a different tune when we get to Florida next month. We'll see what happens. But, Nick, you have been a big part of the Players Association when it's not been peacetime. This is very different. He wants a deal, and the players want a deal. If the bigger they try to change things, the less chance there is of a deal.
Elliotte, just one more.
Go ahead,
just one more. If Gary went out of his way last season to go to Winnipeg, and we're talking about a cap at mid-80s, like what is 100 or 100 plus do for the Winnipeg Jets and keeping hockey in that market?
It's not easy. I don't think but hey, at some point in time, Nick, it's the name of the game, right? Like you have to spend a certain amount, and the higher the revenues are in a cap system, the more you have to spend to the floor, and the more you have to share the revenues with the players. Like that's just the way it is. You know what? I look at it as there's revenue sharing too. That's there to help. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a good answer. I don't want to say that, oh my God, this is the death knell for Winnipeg and the NHL. I don't want that because I don't believe that's true. But at some point in time, this is the system and you've got to find a way to live with it.
It's crazy seeing the NBA cap, right, compared to where it once was the NHL. And it does make you feel like, the players are pretty paid compared to other professional athletes. Let's talk a little bit about personnel. The Boston Bruins flailing a little bit. Not sure if you've noticed. Some people around here like McKee are pretty happy about it. What are you hearing about Boston? Are they just going to kind of go quietly into the night?
No, I don't think so. Like I heard, Justin, that there was a bit of a meeting where the players just said, look, there's a lot of noise out there. We can't control that. What we control is that we got to stick together. I heard that they talked a lot about that, like shut out the noise and stick together. I was really interested in Cam Neely's comments to the Boston Globe on the weekend where he said that we haven't been settled since training camp. I think the Swayman negotiation had a lot of effect on just the overall organization. Like, when you're in Canada here, you're used to your business being splashed all over the internet and sports radio. And like you guys do a heck of a job in podcasts. The Bruins are a big team. But I don't think they liked how much their business was public this year. And I think it had an up and down effect on their organization. I still think there's some lingering effect on their organization. And I just think they've been playing catch up since the beginning of the year. They've looked around. There's no question about that. I think they've looked to see if there's something they can do to kind of breathe some life into their roster. But it's hard to make deals right now. Look, like Nashville's trying. They've tried to make deals. Chicago's trying to find someone to play with Bedard. I saw he was practicing today on the wing. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Wow.
But
getting ready for the Four Nations face-off, Elliotte.
yeah, I mean, they're Boston's trying, but guys, at this time of year, it's plus also they just made a ton of changes. At what point in time do you have to stop making changes and let it all breathe?
Mm-hmm.
Elliotte, in our first hour, our boy Sammy McKee was not happy about the Leafs and their coyness over Austin Matthews' injury. Of course, going back to the spring, you broke the news about Willie Nylander having migraines, right? I mean, where are you with, teams needing to disclose?
I think, honestly, Nick, I think this is an even more different case because I think, I don't want to get too much into that, but the biggest challenge about that is that Nylander wanted his privacy, right? Which I respect. I understand.
Everybody wants their privacy, do they not?
Yeah, but some guys are, Nick, some guys are different than others. Some guys are like, okay, it got out, and other people are, they are harder than that. And I think Matthews is one of the most private people in the league when it comes to that kind of thing. And like last year, we found out that he had a wrist surgery that he didn't tell anybody about for a year. I mean, the Leafs knew, but nobody else knew. And he likes it that way. So I think it's
but
not.
You would have broke it if you knew it.
I did. Eventually, we did. Eventually, we did. But I was just shocked that a player of his level could have that kind of surgery without anybody knowing about it. And so I think it's not only NHL level paranoia about injuries. It's also like the particular player. And Matthews is very, very private. The one thing I'll say about this, Nick, is that, and I tell teams this all the time. The longer you go on in these kinds of situations, the more you risk completely losing control of your ability to tell it. And that's what happened last year with Willie. The Leafs and Nylander wanted to keep that one under a lid, but eventually it just got to a point where they lost control of it. And I would say that about Matthews here too. I think they're doing this at Matthews' request. He does not want a lot of information out there. But the longer it goes, I think the more the risk is that they will lose control of the story.
Elliotte, the worst goal differential in the NHL this season belongs to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just got a win in overtime against the San Jose Sharks to be, just ahead of Columbus in points percentage in their division. I just asked you about Boston going quietly into the night. What's going on with Pittsburgh? This is a strange year for them.
Yeah, but I think, Justin, I don't even know what to call it. I don't even know to call it a rebuild or a restock. I'll get my thesaurus out and I'll figure which one I should use.
Are they going to keep the big names?
I like the only way Crosby's going anywhere is if he comes to them and says, you know what, I've had enough. And I don't see that happening now. Malkin has basically said he's not going anywhere, and that's the information I have. He's got what he's saying publicly, privately is the exact same thing that what he's saying publicly is he doesn't want to go anywhere. Letang's a tough one. I think the injuries make his contract almost impossible to trade, even if he wanted to go. The one to me is going to be Karlsson because his money goes down next year. And he's got a big bonus due at the beginning of July. And then I think he's only owed, after that, I think he's only owed about 10 to 12 million cash.
Oh, that's all?
For the next 2 years. Yeah. Well, you know what, Nick, by NHL standards with a $97 million cap, if we get there, it's not that much. But again, it's going to be up to Karlsson. But that's the one I could see this summer is Karlsson, if he wants to.
You got to assume that, we know Kyle Dubas signed a massive contract, Elliotte, but
7 years.
There must have been discussed and known that there's a very good chance that this team, the wheels could fall off. I don't know if they ever thought it was this early or not, but do you think Kyle covered himself a little bit with the Fenway group that now own the Pittsburgh Penguins that this could happen, and if it does, then I'm going to kick in this plan, and I'm protected basically.
Yes, 100%. But you know what? The one thing, Nick, is that I don't know that. I think the guys like Crosby, I don't think they ever believe they're going to lose. Even though they've missed the playoffs a couple of years in a row, and they look like they're going to miss the playoffs this year, you're not going to be able to. Even if you tell him that we might rebuild, do you think he believes it? He's like, no, we're going to pull through this. and I'm going to pull through this. This is the first time that the Penguins are really waving the white flag under him. And he's never seen it before. He's been told it could happen, but I'm not sure he ever believed it. This might be
he
the
should
first
believe it
time
after
he
20.
actually- Yeah. I mean, he might believe it now, and we'll see what that's going to mean.
Good.
I'm good.
All right.
We'll let you go. What time's your hair appointment today?
It's tomorrow.
Check in with
It's
Gussie.
tomorrow.
Check in with Gussie. Thanks for doing this, Elliotte. Great
Thanks,
to have you on
Reach.
our show.
All right, guys. Have a great week.
You too. He's got a
Great
Swifty
work.
bracelet on. I like it.
Thursday. See you later.
See you, bud. He's going. He's going on Thursday.
He does a good job, that guy.
He does.
He works his butt off, too.
Absolutely.
I like the cap going way up.
And
That
I
does
like
help
it.
the Maplers.
I like it.
with all due respect, before we get into that, with all due respect, like, you know, that Austin or anyone wants their privacy, it's like, that's what these guys do. They go and find out.
Yeah.
Well, I do remember, was it Simmons that found out he had COVID and then like reported it, and Matthews like sassed at him at a press conference?
Yeah,
Remember
that's
that?
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really understand. I understand that everyone is different and entitled to their privacy on medical issues and all that. But like, I just, having been a hockey
That happened,
player,
right? I didn't imagine that. That happened.
I think it did
Okay.
happen.
but I just-
So that was like, you know.
It's not like we're on national TV and radio. Or anything.
No,
I
but-
think
we
you
should
did.
have like a disclaimer, like not
Okay.
journalism, somewhere on the show.
So
dumb guy. Done.
I think on the surface, everybody can get excited about the cap going up. But
We'll just
there's
That's
just
amazing.
there's like it's just won't be that easy for some clubs. We have clubs that don't make any money. Okay. So while it's fantastic that you can say that your team's worth $1 billion or $1.5 billion or even $2 billion, it still doesn't help that day-to-day operations. You are losing money. And that doesn't sit well with those owners.
can't just take out a line of credit against your
So
franchise,
guess
pay your
what's going to
players.
happen? They're going to go back and they're going to negotiate and they're going to ask the players
You
to help them.
Absolute dark cloud. You rainstorm of a human on this one. Everyone's all excited about the peacetime deal, and no one's contentious.
Buddy,
it's going to be 50-50.
I've
Everyone's good.
lived
I
it.
know. You have
I've
of
seen the
experience
way
here.
this thing works.
I remember the shows during the lockout of you and Mac just screaming at each other, much like our first hour today. It was very electric radio.
And that's because I paid attention. Elliotte, I sat in meetings. I know the way this thing works.
I'll say this.
Okay. And if you think everything's hunky-dory because Gary says our revenues are 6.5 or going to be $7 billion or never been better, never been this, never been the yes, that is correct. But it doesn't really help a few of our teams right now that are struggling, including the Winnipeg Jets.
I will say this. You have to be real careful with this NHL fan base who's been heard a couple of times before.
Yes.
And it's one thing to come out and say, we want to split revenue. We want to go 50-50. That's it. Let's do 50-50 and off we go. Makes perfect sense. It's a whole other greedy, gross can of worms to come out and say, we want 1% more than them. Let's go 51-49. That to me is just, that would be like,
No,
ugh.
I think the players, it would be a huge win if they keep it 50-50. But I'm telling you, I think the league's going to go and say we need 2 or 3% back.
Yeah, and I understand how negotiating works, and that you don't come in and just say, hey,
You want to keep, you want to keep,
yeah,
Perfect.
you want to
Same
keep
teams,
your,
you guys are good.
you want to
Yeah.
keep your 32 teams. They need help, and the owners
They need help,
they need help.
and all we hear is about teams lining up, cities lining up for a franchise.
They are,
Yeah, good.
which again
Take them.
is
Nah, there's enough teams already.
it.
Get rid of a couple.
It's just to join a club,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you joined a golf course,
Feels good.
it feels good, but
Shout out to Fraser Suffolk.
does everybody in your family agree that it's worth it?
That'd be a hard no. Worth it is.
That's right.
Yeah,
my
not.
God.
But listen, I hope
show.
I hope everything. They're going to start negotiations next month. I hope it falls into place. They can get something done quietly. To your point, we've been hurt before.
Mm-hmm.
Big time hurt.
And no one needs that. Can you find some common ground? Keep this thing going because it's heading in a
Everything's going great.
Listen, it's almost $7 billion industry.
Yeah, we should.
When I started, when I was in my prime, we were excited at 1.75.
Yeah.
Static.
There's money everywhere. If there's money everywhere and there's just how to divvy up the beautiful pie and they still grind about it, that's not going to sit well.
I think you could argue. I think you could argue the more money there is, the harder they would grind.
I think the easier it should be, but I see your point.
All
Okay.
right, game time. It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now today I'm going to look at some NFL futures because during our first segment where I so rudely blew past the Bills' big time win over the Kansas City Chiefs to talk about my beloved Argos winning the Grey Cup.
Hold on. I can't stand you claiming the Bills.
No, I didn't claim the Bills.
No, but you do. You claim the Bills.
Yeah, I claim the Bills. They're the closest team.
You come in here wearing an AFC East hoodie with all the teams on it and a Rob Lowe NFL hat. You got no NFL team, pal.
I would say that I do like the Bills and I like the Steelers. So I like those two teams a lot. Anyways.
Winner ties with Buffalo all the way.
I do like, I nailed it. But you mentioned it yesterday. Huge win for the Chiefs. For the Bills over the Chiefs. And now I'm looking at the AFC futures for the Buffalo Bills, and they have moved up to plus 275 behind the Kansas City Chiefs, who are still the favorites at plus 210. Did that game yesterday do anything for you to believe that they could actually beat them in the playoffs? Because for me, I wish they had lost it. As a diehard Bills fan,
why?
Because
plant the seed now,
right?
No, you can't. Well, they've beat them in the regular season before. You don't want to beat. You can't beat the Chiefs twice in 1 year. Lose to them early and then beat them late would have been how I thought of it as a diehard fan. Some other notables in there. The Ravens are plus 320, Steelers plus 900, and getting down the list here, Texans, Chargers down to plus 1,400. The New York Jets are a cool plus 25,000 with yet another wonderful performance on their home field, losing to Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Beautiful performance. So that was just a quick look at the NFL futures because I wanted to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills a little bit more. A great win for my Bills. That was Game Time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a quick break here, and when we return, we'll get into a little Rick Tocchet in Vancouver benching JT Miller. We've already seen stars benched earlier this season.
Mm-hmm.
We got another one. We'll listen to some comments from Tocchet on that. What else? We got to talk about Ovi and his hat trick.
I got some Bedard thoughts too.
We got Bedard thoughts.
Logan Thompson.
And we also got some Tyson thoughts as well. Yes.
Who wants to hear it?
Yes.
What a sick
No.
display
We got to discuss that.
Okay.
We got to discuss that.
Okay.
That and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. All right, we're coming down the stretch on this Monday. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, is brought to you by Bet365. Okay, you look at the Vancouver Canucks. On the surface, the record looks good.
Yeah, fine.
Right?
Turn your mic on.
Okay, well, why?
They're 9-5-3.
Why do people feel like Rome is burning there right now?
Expectations are a source of resentment I've learned in my life.
I say this
there
with
was a lot of expectations.
I say this with all the love in the world. You met Vancouver fans?
It's a tough. I actually said to Kip before you were on there, Sam, like that might be as tough a market as there is in Canada.
For sure.
Toronto included.
Toronto's
Tough
bigger.
market. Yeah, it's just louder because there's more, but I don't know that it's any more malicious. Or that's maybe not the word, but
losing to Nashville on home ice ain't going to help anything.
So we saw another benching. Rick Tocchet taking JT Miller out of the game with about, 14, 15 minutes to go? You okay with that? It's good. Just send I know how I don't even have to ask you. If the coach feels like it needs to send a message, you send a message.
But I will say, Miller's not a guy that you generally struggle to get emotionally engaged. And I feel like that often is like what a benching is about. Like you're not all the way committed. And I know that you feel like a coach only has so many bullets in a year. And we're kind of going, he was hard on him the other day in the media, and you commented on that too.
Listen, JT Miller, to your point, is sometimes you can, in the past, he's sometimes been his own worst enemy with his emotion and his outbreaks. He's done a lot to win me over the past year and a half. Like since that break between, do we trade JT Miller or do we trade Bo Horvat? Remember that?
The contract conversation around JT Miller was like, that's one of the worst in the league there for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like it was talked about as a,
or whatever he had.
Yeah.
Tochet's benched him before too.
Yep.
And has gotten pretty good results, I think, coming off.
Mutual respect.
There seems to be something there. So you kind of trust it. I think there's a way to send messages to your star players without completely needing to shut them right down.
Yeah.
But this is what we've seen with Montgomery. We've seen it with Cooper in Tampa Bay. Like coaches aren't afraid.
I know we're going to get to the audio in a sec here, but sometimes do you ever just feel like the coach may feel genuinely, this guy's not playing well. I'm not getting enough out of him tonight. I just think I have a better chance of getting the next goal with someone else. And I know that you have to be careful with that, but sometimes, is it always a personal, emotional statement? And I think the answer here is probably yes. But I does it have to be? Can you not just say, hey, I thought I'd get one from Kiefer Sherwood?
Okay, let's get Tocchet's thoughts.
There's two separate clips.
Talk thoughts.
The first one is short. Clip one, please, Derek.
JT didn't play much in the third. What can you say about
Just
him
one
right
of the
now?
guys that I thought couldn't get us back in the game.
Okay. And clip two, please, Derek.
We know that JT has dealt with something since the preseason. Is that a factor in his ice time tonight?
No.
I love when the media gives the coach outs and the coach is like, I don't want an off-ramp, pal.
No. No.
But they've had. How about new? They've had some bad losses at home, right? Edmonton was a bad loss. I think Vegas was a bad loss.
I think this could be up there with the worst. Losing to the Preds.
Yeah. It's funny. The Canucks are 6-1 on the road and 3-4-3 at home. And you had Todd come out and apologize to the fans the other day about, basically sorry for the performance. So, yeah, it's getting emotional there, which is funny because, again, they're pretty comfortably in third spot there in the Pacific. I think they're a better team than LA. They're only 2 points behind them with 2 games in hand. Like, they're all right. -1 goal differential. Worries me a bit.
Their opponent on Saturday night was the Blackhawks. Watched most of that game. Slight Bedard concern for me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I just didn't have zero impact in that game. Like, I don't know.
Do you think it's just the lack of guys to play with or no?
I mean, they suck. They suck.
They're brutal.
We thought that they would maybe sign some guys and they would maybe take a little bit of a step, but I don't know, man. I just haven't seen much from them.
It's funny when you're Kyle Davidson, you're like, we need some guys who are better, and you're just getting anyone who's better that you can overpay a bit, and doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help you a whole ton. My one connection.
Yeah, the roster's an issue. Not a strong enough roster around him, and then the ask right out of the gate to play 18, 19 minutes, and then he got hurt, and then it's like he's going to come back and score 40. But
he's down this year. Like, his ice time is significantly down than it was last year. Like, it feels like they're trusting him less. Like, he was 16:48 on Saturday night. Like, he's a -2 that night, -1 the night before, -1, -2, -1. Like, he's
on the ice and they're bad. He's going to be a dash all year.
But you'd like to see. We saw it lots of times last year where he's got the pop, he shoots it hard, and then watching that game was depressing for me. I'm like, this guy was supposed to be in the conversation for Nation face-off. Like, he's not even close. No way.
He's supposed to be a generational type of guy.
And I was so against this conversation, and watching this year, it's shaken me a little bit. Sophomore slump, I know it's a classic thing, but boy, you'd like to see a bit more.
I'm trying to think of the last rookie to come in. Who's the last rookie that came in and really lit it up? really like. I just think it's a hard league, and we're seeing guys take more time to get there. Obviously, Slavkovsky's taking time. Shane Wright's playing in the American League. And even Lafreniere took a while. Took 4 years before you started to see it here.
But,
I think it's tough.
To the point Kyper is about to make, and I'll just make it for him. None of those guys had the hype of Bedard.
They
Not
didn't,
even close.
But it's degrees of hype, right?
Like he had the big type, the big
Crosby.
big hype.
I know we've had this conversation a while ago, and I know he's a really good player, and there's some years he's gonna put some big numbers up, but I just don't know if he's gonna be a very, very good hockey player or if he's gonna be a really special one.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think strength is an issue, right? And I don't know, in maybe 2 or 3 years, he's going to be that guy that is just destined, like a Sidney Crosby or a Mario Lemieux or...
Yeah, to your point, not a lot of those guys find it to that level in year 3 or 4, right? Like usually by year 2, you're like, oh man, he's already
There's a bit of a breakthrough.
Yeah.
Marner on his wing will help.
What's that?
I said Marner on his wing will help.
You got would Chicago pay Mitch?
Probably.
Oh, God, yeah.
Ovechkin?
Hold on. First thing I was going to say, Canucks are 29th in the NHL so far in strength of schedule, so they've had a very easy schedule. I think that's part of the reason people are like down on them. Anyway.
What's the Leafs on that?
The Leafs' strength of schedule is 20th.
Okay.
So fairly easy.
Highest scoring team in the league. Who?
Capitals? I don't know.
Oh, God.
Is that right?
Winnipeg.
Take a look.
Okay.
If you have it in front of you, could you just tell me?
It's mind-boggling.
Okay, I'm going to now.
It's mind-boggling.
We got Carolina, New Jersey, Washington, Winnipeg.
What's Winnipeg at?
It's Winnipeg.
74.
And the Capitals?
72.
But I can do a goals per game if that helps you.
It doesn't matter. But the mere fact that Washington is right there.
They're actually first in the NHL. Washington goals for per game. 4.24 goals per game.
Thank you. Yeah. It's that team last year. We looked at them and I laughed. They
were awful. They were.
How do you go from awful to highest goal per game?
I don't know. I mean,
explain that to me. Just Ovi?
Ovi ate really healthy this summer.
Dylan Strome?
How did Ovi get so much better again?
Protas?
Yeah,
did I pronounce that right?
Step.
Prontas?
You once told me that if he's good enough, we'll have to learn.
I mean,
I am going to learn.
That's a great win for them. Like to go into Vegas,
Connor
who's playing
has 11 goals. He's Connor McDavid,
and
he's been good with Pierre-Luc Dubois.
And Dubois not been great, right?
He's been.
Is he starting?
Well, the numbers aren't suggesting he's great, but he's been good.
Your boy Chychrun shooting in the net once in a while. That helps.
Chychrun and Matt Roy, who hasn't even played, are in the lineup now. Carlson, they've backed off needing Carlson to do everything. They just seem to have a good balance right now.
Let me lodge my official skepticism of the Washington Capitals here and just tell you that I'm skeptical of them.
The bubble could break at any second.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not coming on here today saying I'm like a full believer of the Caps or anything. So they've been very good. You know, teams do that from time to time.
And
Logan Thompson's been unbelievable. He's played himself onto Team Canada as the third goalie. Dare I say it? Team Canada watchers out there.
I'm really scared for your Team Canada goalie scenario.
Cam Talbot's the starter, boys. Like he's got the best. They're all just
Cam Talbot's the starter.
Well, he's having the best year.
Go home.
He's got the best numbers.
He got 5 starts this year.
I mean,
whoever wins their
Bennington lets him 8 a game.
Whoever wins their last game.
I know.
That's it.
Is the goalie.
Have you ever seen those baby races they do at intermission of a football game? And they're all just like kind of going different directions. It's like, will someone just go straight? Someone cross the line.
But Ovechkin,
Aiden Hill, Jordan Binnington, Logan
it's
Thompson,
real now.
He's
real.
29 away, boys.
It's real.
29 away from the record.
Yeah, he needs to
No, he's getting it.
No, like if he plays in the National Hockey League from now, yes, like he's
getting
to
it
go
this
play
year.
in the KHL.
He's getting it this year.
This year,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with him. He's just got that look.
He does.
29 goals to tie.
Yeah.
I think we said.
Yeah,
and I think
to get it is 20 because the
29
record.
to pass.
Yeah, it's 29 to pass.
He's getting the holes again. the lanes and the puck and the seams and all of that. And
I'm scheming for ways it cannot happen.
I looked. Did you see the Pietrangelo play? I think Pietrangelo wants him to get it. My God, what was he just was like coming down? He was coming down the wing.
Yeah, and he
just
backhand
back straight into. I was like, just he's not passing.
No,
don't play the back.
Yeah.
If only we had some tape to watch of this guy shooting it in.
He's not passing.
The Caps are near the bottom of the league in expected goals for. If you guys care about that.
Oh, what are they in actual goals?
Number 1.
Hey, I had a quick
Quite
thing.
the delta.
I had a quick thing. I know this will maybe piss you guys off that I'm going to bring this up, but a little quick ref talk for you from the game on Saturday night, Oilers-Leafs.
Yeah.
How the hell do they not call Connor McDavid for slashing the stick away?
Okay.
Into the
stop it.
Did you watch? I don't know.
Yeah,
I had to watch. I had to watch John Tavares in a game against the Red Wings on Hall of Fame. The exact same thing.
Why did he drop his stick?
Because Connor threw it out of his hands again.
No.
Yeah, he committed 4 penalties in one play, and the refs are looking right at it. They're like, play on, play on. You can't slash away a guy's stick. That's interference. That's in the rule book. You can't do it. And he did it in the slot, leads to a tying goal, could have cost them a point. It was absurd. It was absurd.
Why does Tavares go and try to get his stick at that point?
Because
like,
when you're not doing anything.
He actually appealed to the ref.
Why? Why do you go out and go tackle somebody, get a penalty before you give
the takeaways from Edmonton, Toronto?
That was absurd.
One?
It was absurd. It was a clear penalty. They blew it. And it could have cost at least a point. Could have cost them a playoff spot.
Quit your crying.
It was absurd.
Quit your crying. You want something to cry about?
They only gave the Golden Boy 1 penalty. They couldn't give him another one.
You want to cry on something?
Let's cry.
How do you get the what is it? 18 minutes, 20 minutes back from watching Mike Tyson and the
that's actually a cry.
YouTuber.
Jake
okay,
Paul.
Logan.
Jake. Sorry.
Paul James.
Seriously, when I saw Mike Tyson's ass, that's when I said, "This is ridiculous."
I have to say,
okay,
that was an electric moment at the bar. Well, I was out with all my softball buddies, and we all hooted and hollered when that happened.
The boys were hooting and hollering.
When I'm staring at a 60-year-old ass that looked no different than the one than what I see at my men's locker room at Rosedale, I'm like, shut the TV off.
You know, it was one of those things where it's just, it's like you're watching an old dog climb up the stairs and you're like, God, just like, what am I out of misery?
I watched him walk out, and I should have put my life savings on Jake Paul. When he walked out of there, I was like, oh my God.
I listen, respect, Mike, go get that check, whatever.
Absolutely.
You got to do what you got to do, but like.
So was it 40-20?
Yeah, you got 20, I guess. Jake Paul.
Tyson should have got the 40, and the other guy should have got the 20.
Like at the end, like
you can't do that without Tyson.
Right. Jake Paul doesn't even want to hit him at the end because he's like, oh, this is not going to be good.
No.
And it's like, what was this a competition?
And you know what the worst part was? Like,
I did bet on Jake Paul, by the way.
good for you.
Yeah, thank you.
The fight before those two women was the most unbelievable. It was a war.
Yeah.
Like those two punched each other's faces off.
Yeah.
And then it was like, we gotta go watch.
John Jones kicked me Stipe's ribs through his liver.
That was by far the worst fight of the weekend. Not even close.
Yeah. Anyway.
That was Paul's last fight.
No, he'll fight
God,
again.
dude, he's gonna cash another check.
No, he's not.
Check.
Yes,
no one will ever watch him again.
He's fighting up old tough guys. He might be next.
Who's gonna watch it? Moving forward,
if he fights Conor McGregor or someone that I think
Connor ain't getting in the ring with him.
He'll fight the next washed-up guy.
Loves a paycheck. Everyone wants to see this guy get knocked.
But
that's
exactly
in his contract that you can't.
You think he can fight though? Really?
Who's that? McGregor?
No,
Paul.
Yeah,
he's fine. Like he's a big, strong guy. But a boxer picks him apart.
Oh, wow.
A guy in their prime beats the wheels off him, but he fights 80-year-olds, so that's how he wins. I saw a meme, his next opponent was Biden.
I saw someone like lowering the rim and pretending I'm LeBron.
Exactly.
Okay, enough.
All
right, we gotta go.
Thanks, Elliotte, for joining us. We're back tomorrow on Real Kyper and Bourne. Have a great one, everybody.